Ando.
¡Al baño! ¡Al baño! ¡Al baño! ¡Al baño! ¡Al baño! ¡Al baño! ¡Adri, al baño! ¡Al baño!
Which one was this one? Para allá, manito. Para allá, sí. Ay, Dios. Bueno, buenos días. Ay, qué lindo.
Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdsson of World Alternative Media here, and Acapulco, Mexico has essentially been destroyed. As many of you may know, about a week and a half ago or so, I dealt with a very, very serious situation where I live here in Puerto Vallarta when Hurricane Lydia, a Category 4, really quickly escalated and hit. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdsson of World Alternative Media here, and Acapulco, Mexico has essentially been destroyed. As many of you may know, about a week and a half ago or so, I dealt with a very, very serious situation where I live here in Puerto Vallarta when Hurricane Lydia, a Category 4, really quickly escalated and hit the town of Puerto Vallarta. It caused severe damage to places, including my house, ripped 100-plus-year-old trees out of the ground. It was a dramatic storm that I'm very happy I got out of unscathed. Now, with that said, something much more dramatic has just happened in Acapulco, Mexico. As this says out of foxweather.com, Acapulco has been destroyed. Hurricane Otis blamed for 27 deaths as survivors recover from historic storm. They say about 27 people died. There's countless people unaccounted for, though. And remember, this is the biggest hurricane to ever hit a city over 1 million people. It has some of the highest winds of any hurricane ever in history, and it was a tropical storm and suddenly turned into a Category 5 hurricane and hit, especially around the areas of Diamante and Bonfil, directly. And if you've ever been to Acapulco, you've probably seen a lot of these buildings before. It is absolutely dramatic what we're seeing over there. And I'm going to go into the weather manipulation and all that kind of stuff in a moment because it's going to be very important to kind of break down. But we're talking, here's a Princess Mundo Imperial where Acapulco took place. Look at all the beds. There's cars down there. All the walls were essentially ripped out of the structure, and it was stripped to the bone. And people were in these rooms, they would have been thrown 10 stories, 8, 9, 10 stories to the ground. There's beds on the bottom. You could see right through the building. The ceiling, which I always said was not sturdy in a storm, collapsed, of course, as well. Now, the Princess Mundo Imperial is the same hotel that called the police on me for not wearing a mask on the beach. Of course, I have big quarrels with them. I've done videos on them before, but what I'm worried about here are the people on the ground. And we're going to go into some of that. I do want to ask people, though, to go and check out Jeff Berwick's hurricane relief website called hurricaneotisrecovery.com and go donate. So far, they are the only people on the ground bringing food, water, necessities to people on the ground because the government's doing absolutely nothing. In fact, AMLO tried to get there, the president of Mexico, and got stuck in mud and wasn't able to access the town. So he just gave up and went the other way. But there is a recovery effort here to help the people in the ravaged areas of Acapulco, which is essentially the entire city. So I'll leave a link in the description for Hurricane Otis Recovery. We're going to go into a bit of what Jeff Berwick is doing shortly from the Dollar Vigilante. Of course, he is a guy who made Acapulco famous in recent times. Acapulco was previously one of the most famous tourist cities in the world back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and is left in ruins today. I mean, this is weather modification that we're watching here. And I'll go into that more in a moment and why they would attack Acapulco. And not just that, but also Puerto Vallarta and Baja California hitting places like Cabo recently with a major storm. Acapulco is in ruins. And I want you guys to just get a look at some of this. Now, this is people act like Acapulco is such this dangerous place. It's such a crazy place. People watch too much television, too much media. Acapulco is a beautiful city with a lot of infrastructure, a lot of amazing hotels, resorts, nightclubs, restaurants. Many of these places that I've spent a lot of time going to are simply ripped out of the ground. Skyscrapers ripped to the bone. I mean, look at this. This is an absolutely shocking image before and after of one of the new resorts that was just built in Acapulco, because Acapulco has been on the up and up over the last couple of years. It's seen a revival. This is a brand new $130 million luxury high rise in Acapulco. And Hurricane Otis absolutely stripped everything out of this building. Do you know how high winds have to be to do anything anywhere near as crazy as this? I mean, it's absolutely shocking. I want to show you video from the sky. This is one of the most insane things I've seen. And I believe this is close to Diamante because it looks like in the background, I can see the airport, which by the way, was leveled as well. Look at these buildings. They are literally ripped to pieces. I mean, all you see are the steel beams left. Funny how they say on 9/11 that the World Trade Center could just fall into its footprint. I mean, these places have all that's left are the steel beams after these massive, massive winds. And there's huge earthquakes in Acapulco. Acapulco is built for massive earthquakes. I witnessed a 7.8 magnitude earthquake back in, I believe it was 2018 when I was at Acapulco. Some of you watching or listening right now were there. And just to think of the devastation that this has caused versus these massive earthquakes is just unfathomable. Absolutely unfathomable. Here's a crazy video from Diamante near Acapulco. It's a few minutes drive. I mean, these people, the walls were ripped out of their apartment. Look at this. They're on their floor and they're looking at the damage. They're saying on the video, if you could hear it, but you can't. I can't believe this. How is this possible? How is this possible? I mean, it was literally just ripped to shreds. Everything is destroyed. People are saying, I might say I'm being dramatic. People live here. And this is a place that many people in the freedom community have frequented, have supported, have loved, have spent a lot of time there, or many are living there, and many of which I cannot get a hold of, and I'm very concerned about them. I know people who own businesses on the beach, and right by where the Princess Mundo Imperial is. So I don't know what's going on with them. There's places like the Bonefield Sound Lounge, a really popular place among freedom people in Bonefield. I don't know what happened with it. I'm not getting any word on it. I've messaged people, but there's no infrastructure. There's no electricity, water. There's no internet to this day. And it's similar to in Puerto Vallarta, nothing happened for days. I didn't have internet or electricity or water for about almost 5 days. 2 days after the hurricane, we had one of the biggest floods in 10 years. And it was a torrential downpour, a flash flood. So we're getting hit by these weather events. And there is a reason why this is happening right now. I just want to continue showing you some of the damage here before I get into it, because I mean, the amount of power it takes to strip these concrete buildings down to the steel is absolutely insane. And no one seems to care. I mean, I see, Acapulco trending on Facebook, but where are the humanitarian missions? Well, so far, all I've seen is this. This is Jeff Burrick. He says there's still zero government presence in Acapulco on the third day without power, signal, food, or even water. This is being done on purpose. They're trying to create Hunger Games in Acapulco. We are rolling in supplies regularly, but covering them from marauders and panicked mobs. Please continue to support us at HurricaneOtisRecovery.com. We are the only people working to help the situation currently. And again, you could go to the website. It's linked below. I want to go into why I think this has happened. And I mean, there's a lot to this. So last year, the Mexican president says he will not let the U.S. group keep watch over energy reform. And he was pushing back against a lot of the climate agenda. Of course, President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador is very much moving towards or in the direction of BRICS, the new system of governance, which of course is technocratic tyranny and would bring in a cashless society. It's a very bad thing. But of course, he is aligning himself more with, Russia and China. They've just had military parades in Mexico City with Russia and China. And of course, are kind of pushing back against, the Biden administration, Trudeau, et cetera. And they see the direction the world is going in. Now, of course, all this climate stuff is absolutely devastating for the economy, and for them to move forward into the new order, which is a very bad order, again, into the cashless society, into the BRICS world reserve currency, you have to first not bankrupt your own economy with climate policies. Well, earlier this year, AMLO, again, the president of Mexico, said that he was against a climate deal with the U.S. and Canada in this North American Union type ordeal. Within a day or two, three Pemex facilities, 3 oil refineries in Mexico blew up within an hour of each other. The Reuters article says one day. It happened within an hour of each other. All of these places blew up. And as I reported at the time, I believe they are sabotaging Mexico. And now we have examples like this where you see this damage in Puerto Vallarta. You see this massive catastrophe in Acapulco, Mexico. Again, on the same coast, West Coast, we see these hurricanes that start small and within an hour's notice suddenly do this, turn to the right, turn to the east, and grow in size and scope dramatically and slam directly into the cities. I mean, the eye of the storm hit Acapulco directly. The eye of the storm in Hurricane Lydia hit Puerto Vallarta directly. In between those storms, we see the eye of another storm. I forget the name of it. I think it was like Norma or something like that, hit Baja California and hit Cabo. I believe that there are weather events that are happening and they're manipulated and they are created in order to force the hand of the climate agenda in Mexico, which is a globalist agenda. And Sheinbaum, the woman that's likely to be the next president of Mexico, she's a Jewish climate scientist. It makes no sense in Mexico. It goes against all logic. But AMLO, who usually aligns more with people who would support Trump and people like that, is supporting her, the same party. And a lot of people are concerned where that's going. And to get the fear going in Mexico about the climate, and of course, all the tourists that are coming here and are getting affected by these massive storms and these massive weather calamities, they need to pump this stuff up, just like in Maui, just like they did in California with the wildfires and then the earthquakes and then the hurricanes that were happening at the same time. Same as they did in Florida to target the conservative, quote unquote, demographic, same as they've been doing for a long time, same as the military has been doing for a long time with silver iodide. Silver iodide, of course, being able to be sprayed into the atmosphere in order to move storms and make them more extreme. This isn't a conspiracy theory. The military has been openly doing this for many, many years. And that is what I believe is happening here right now. And it's a perfect guise to bring in this Jewish climate scientist woman in the middle of the push for World War III in Israel. You have this Jewish climate scientist at the same time as they're pushing for this insane, climate agenda, 15-minute cities, etc. I just have this on my phone here. I took this photo from my backyard the other day. You'll see the perfect line of mist and then the cloud behind it. And that was followed by a massive storm. They are moving clouds. They're spraying the skies with this stuff. A recent whistleblower out of Antarctica, one of the top security clearances as well, came out and said there's underground bases causing massive earthquakes like the one we saw in Christchurch, New Zealand. This is without a doubt happening. And the sooner we acknowledge that, the sooner we can wake people up. So with all these massive disasters, first of all, we don't end up using them to go into a further tyrannical system. And another reason why I tell people to stock up on things, because all these people in Acapulco that have no food, no water, they have no shelter because their home was ripped to pieces. And there's no help being given. There's no internet. There's none of that. And I have to, again, thank Jeff Berwick, who, he and I have had our agreements and disagreements over the years. He is doing an amazing job right now doing this and getting this going because it shows voluntarism. It shows why the government sucks and individuals helping people is a great thing. Just like we saw with people like Danny Sessom. Years ago, we interviewed him. He was helping people during Hurricane Harvey when FEMA was trying to stop him from feeding people and trying to make people go in long lines so they just wait forever for a toothbrush. Then they go in another line for a pillow. And if you try to help them or if you try to feed them, then you're breaking some kind of law. And of course, they just want the FEMA on the ground. They want the military on the ground. They want martial law. They want all that kind of stuff. And it appears as though the same thing's happening in Mexico, which is a far more independent country than the United States as far as people on the ground. People can handle themselves in a crisis so much better. And I've seen that myself many times in many crises. I've been in massive earthquakes multiple times here. I've been in a massive hurricane. I've been in, a huge amount of weather events in my life, tornadoes, etc., all over the place. Mexico is the most independent when it comes as far as every place I've been in massive weather events for these things. And still, people are rioting and breaking into stores trying to get whatever they can because they need to feed their family. This is why I tell people to stock up. And in these situations, when you are stocked up and you have defenses, you don't need the help from others. You can then go out and help others. And that is one of those things where it boggles my mind when people say, oh, Chicken Little sky's falling. Okay, with the New World Order, with World War III, with the destruction of the food supply and the energy supply, with the EMP false flags, with these proxy wars, with the transhumanism, with the push for 15-minute cities, with the weather modification, with all these things, they all lead to one thing: stock up, get prepared. So in your situation, stock up. We have links below. For the people of Acapulco, go to that link, hurricaneotisrecovery.com, and help support, because there's very few people actually getting in there and giving people what they need. I wanted to go down there. I was told the airport was destroyed. I was told that, the roads in are full of mud. Then I'm hearing from people that are going down there and helping with the recovery that, hey, we just drove right in. Yeah, it's really bad, but we drove right in and we're trying to help people. And that is where, we get this different balance of what is true and what is false. But the reality on the ground is people are suffering, and there are some people out there going to help them. And I know Max Egan put out a video on this as well. Max Egan has lived here in Puerto Vallarta as well as in Acapulco. Luckily, he was, I believe, in Texas at a conference or something when it happened, so he wasn't there at the time. I know a lot of people that live in Acapulco. I know a lot of people who own businesses, and I feel so bad for them. And even more than them, and sorry, but even more than them, are the people who can barely survive as it is, and their homes are ripped out of the ground by these massive winds that are beyond fathom. You cannot believe this. We're talking 200-mile-an-hour winds, and we're talking higher than that in the bursts. As high, we saw some recordings as high as 300 miles an hour, which is like just beyond anything that's ever been seen worldwide, ever. And, you know, with winds like that, you stand outside, you're getting blown into like 3 stories up. It's horrible to watch all of these places that I've been to, I've seen, and I've loved, absolutely devastated. And so little coverage and so little help being done, except for from those of us in the freedom community. Imagine that. Those of us that believe in freedom, those of us that don't believe in government, that we believe in individualism. Humanity is the basis of humanity is freedom, individualism, voluntarism, individual responsibility. Part of our responsibility is getting prepared ahead of time, but most people aren't there. They don't understand. They believe the government is always going to be there to help them, mommy and daddy government. They vote and they vote and they vote as if any of these people care about them. And then a disaster happens, and the only people helping are the people that are trying to say, don't vote, don't go and kiss the boot of the government. Go and prepare yourself in your own ways, withdraw from the system, build yourself, grow yourself. The one thing that is stronger than us as human beings is God. And God, very obviously, we see what happens with nature and acts of God. And we all need to respect that and then help those that are affected by that and build from there. And so I really hope people go and check out that Hurricane Otis recovery website. Again, it will be in the description. And I'm not trying to sell absolutely anything in this. I do urge people, in the face of all this, though, if you want to be prepared in future weather events or whatever it might be, the destruction of the supply chain, I urge people to go and check out our heavensharvest.com link for non-GMO, storable food, organic, storable food, heirloom seeds, water filtration, storage, books on how to get started. All you have to do is use code WAM, W-A-M, and you get free shipping on much of those products. We have batteries and solar panels and solar chargers and generators at our Lion Energy link. You save a bunch of money if you go through there. Again, this is a way to not fall prey to the Great Reset. So go and check those out in the description. Escape the Cashless Society with our KirkElliottPhD.com/wham link. Buy physical gold and silver. Get prepared for these kinds of things. Buy privacy coins, all that kind of stuff. We have so many different things in the description that will help you. But most importantly, my friends, today I want people to go and check out that HurricaneOtisRecovery.com link so you can help them survive, and then you can prepare yourself for whatever comes your way. They do accept not just a GoFundMe, they accept Monero, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Darrow, Pirate Chain. And I urge you to go and check that out. There's some examples of the recovery efforts. That's October 27th. They're bringing food, they're bringing water, they're bringing necessities to people. And, you know, you can find a lot of that on the Dollar Vigilantes channel. The photos from the site are absolutely shocking. And it just blows my mind looking at some of these. I mean, look at the inside lobby of the Princess Mundo Imperial. There's cars piled up in the lobby. I mean, it's just insane. And Acapulco is the city that made me love Mexico and eventually led to me moving to Puerto Vallarta. And, you know, now that I've been through these storms and now that these people are dealing with this, it's more obvious than ever. Look, we are on a fragile planet. We are surrounded by fragile necessities, and we need to be better at being prepared for such catastrophes that could hit us with a moment's notice. Because remember, like less than an hour happened for people to prepare. They had no time to prepare in Acapulco. So anyway, I appreciate everyone watching today, my friends. And we will continue to report on what happens here. Again, links in the description. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the description. Find us on Telegram, Rockfin, Band.video, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and Brighteon at World Alternative Media, Hive, Steam at Vigilante.tv at Josh Sigurdson, and on the Bad Guys, TikTok and Instagram, World Alternative Media, Twitter and Getter at World Alt Media, all the major podcast platforms except for Spotify. Hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.